There we go. Share screen with audio. And go. All right, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, good evening, buenas noches, and welcome to another episode of Texas Soccer Live, episode 40. Crazy that we're already at 40 and chugging along here as we are rapidly coming up to the end of our fourth year already within a few months. So, as always, I'm Sean Telez, joined with the boys, Richard Romero and Raul Villarreal. And yeah, before I jump in with the guys, just a quick rundown. If you're watching this on the playback, we have a little bit more focused episode for y'all this month. We are focusing on all things USA and Mexico. So we're going to be looking at, we'll have some fun first and talk about the reaction to the new Dynamo and Dash brand. But we'll be getting into the MLS playoffs, as well as going into the down south to the Liga MX playoffs. We'll talk about CONCACAF Champions League. And the Mexican and U.S. national teams were in action in some friendlies this past week, so we'll talk about that. So yeah, all things North America, CONCACAF, if you will, this episode, and we'll shift gears. We'll shift gears towards the end and next episode, and we'll flip it back over to Europe and South America. So before we get into things, Raul, let's start off with you, man. How are things hanging?
Doing all right. Just trying to get to the rest of the year. Looking forward to Sunday. Theaters plays at 7, so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, looking forward to December, trying to see who wins the CONCACAF Champions League. Hopefully we're able to pull that off, even though it started at the beginning of the year and then it's not going to end till like the end of the year. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to that. And trying to see what next year has in store for us, because so far it doesn't look like anything is getting better. It looks like it's just getting worse.
Well, two things are for sure. Everybody needs a break. I'm glad we're thankful it's Thanksgiving next week, and a lot of people can get a little break, see some family. Also, before I turn it over to Richard, I'd be remiss. Happy early birthday to Mr. Raul. Mr. Raul is going to have his birthday next week, so happy early birthday to one of our own. Richard, what's happening with you?
Yeah. Good night, everybody. Not saying good night to goodbye, just hopping in here. No, like you said, it's it's been quite interesting, Raul. Just seeing how like the COVID cases have spiked up again, and like thankfully we've adapted to this new system of us just being together while in our own cozy homes. But yeah, I hope everybody's staying safe. I'm doing pretty well. Actually got a chance to travel last week. Now I'm back home in Houston, so there's a lot of news that we should probably get to covering out, and especially with all the international friendlies too. Just looking at all that new young talent, and there's just so much going on still in the world of sports. So why don't we get to it?
All right, then let's kick it off. We're going to start it off local, and the Dynamo with their much hyped up, also leaked in advance, announcement came out Tuesday with, we've been a club for 15 years, and we have a rebrand, and I want to get y'all's reaction. Now, I know from talking to y'all already where we kind of stand on this, and especially if you're watching this, we'd love to get y'all's reaction. I'm actually going to share the screen in a second. I'm going to do something here real fast before I open it up for just mass commentary here. I'm going to ask, I'll kick it off, but I want everyone to say something positive that first comes to mind, and then say something that you are critical of, because there's always pros and cons to everything, and then we'll get into the weeds. I think for me, my pro is that I think a rebrand, a refresh can always be a good thing. 15 years, you've been in the city. It's a decent time. Con, I wish that this was paired with a bigger announcement. It would have been nice if this was on the heels of maybe a winning season, not last place, or maybe if the timing was with a big signing or a change in ownership. So I like the idea of a rebrand, don't like the timing. So that's my initial pro and con. Richard, what's your initial just kind of general pro and con for our new logos here?
Yeah, I mean, like I had mentioned, like just being on the creative side, like you're right. There's always a need to like reinvent yourself creatively, and just like an image that you need to put out there for the city, for the sport. And I think the whole packaging was well done from the creative team. Like my hats go off to them. Obviously, having working with them and all their hard work, how much time they've been putting into this well thought out project. I think, like you said, like I think on the critical side, unfortunately, like we are still a sports team. We didn't have the best season ever. I don't think we've ever ended in last place, and this is the first year that we did. So it's a very unfortunate that it comes after that. I do think, at least for the Dash side, like this is a really good opportunity for them because they are champions. They are coming off hot from a good season. Like I think this really does come, and like you've mentioned, in terms of the blue, I would have liked to seen that blue over on the Dynamo side, just to kind of see how the fans would have reacted on that. But I do think, at least moving away from the energy side, that's one part I'm critical. Is like we're more of a team that wants to focus on winning, that wants to focus on the energy that the fans will bring to these games, not necessarily to what the city does, but more of what the fans do. And just kind of mixture of emotions there, just how they kept reiterating that it was all because of the fans and the concentrated groups that they had into designing this. I think, I don't know, I just felt like it was more of a marketing stunt than anything being backed up in terms of like the projects coming with the soccer itself.
I hear you. We'll come back to you on some more of that. But Raul, I want to get you in here. I know where you stand, but if I had to push you and challenge you, can you say anything positive about this whole thing?
I guess there's always. Eventually, you always have to make a change. Moving forward. You can't stick with the same logo all the time. You see that with. I've seen it with Tigres. Before Tigres was just a team, and it had two stars, and then even before that, it used to be a soccer ball with a tiger, and then it used to be a paw with tiger stripes. Eventually, you got to make some changes. Which some changes are good, some changes are bad. In this case,
so lay it on me. I'm going to turn it over to you. I want just lay it on me. I know you hate this damn thing. Tell me this. Just lay it all out there for me. What's wrong with this?
I don't know. It just looks stupid. No, I didn't even see the Dash one, but the Dash one just looks stupid. Honestly, the Dash one looks like like two roads basically. Like it looks like two parallel roads and then an intersection. That's all it is.
The blue is supposed to be our bayous, is what it's supposed to represent. I guess the orange was supposed to be our roads, and the blue is the bayous, according to their unveiling.
Well, if they wanted to make it our body, they should have made it brown. The Dynamo one, I can kind of tell. Like, I don't know. I just caught on to this right now, but the D looks like it could be like the Bellway 8, and then like
Yeah,
2 could be like 59, 45, and stuff like that. So that kind of makes sense. But I don't know. It just looks dumb. Like,
someone said in their video, they said the hexagon, the 6 sides represents like Houston's original 6 wards, that the team was founded in 06, and all this stuff. And then I saw the first comment I saw online, it says it represents not making the playoffs 6 out of the last 7 years. I was like, damn, that's cold. That's just cold, man. What about the other debate part was that it doesn't look like a big deal, but officially we're now referred to as not just Houston Dynamo, but Houston Dynamo FC. What are y'all's thoughts? We talked about this a little bit last time. What are y'all's thoughts on this idea? I mean, what is that? What's the significance of that? Is there significance of that? Or like, what's the point? I mean, I heard what their point is. What do y'all think the point is, or lack thereof? I mean, because one of the things that they were arguing was they're saying that when they came here, they were just a soccer team, right? And what they're trying to argue is they're trying to say, oh, well, if you're a football club, because we added the women's team, we added an academy, we, got our own stadium, that we're creating this culture. That's what they're trying to sell us. My question is, do you actually buy it?
I don't know. The whole football club, to me at least, living in Houston, football club is, I don't know, something that you do on Sundays. Like, that's a football club. I have my football club on Sundays. A football club in the MLS is just stupid. You need to keep it soccer, especially with all the like Hispanics in Houston. I mean, you need to keep it just soccer, not football club. The MLS is trying to turn this into like a Euro thing.
Yeah.
Houston Dynamo FC, so far, stands for effing chokers. That's what that stands for. I mean, they haven't been able to do anything.
Richard, I know you're on the other side. What is your thoughts on it?
I mean, I'm sure they were debating. I would have just liked for it to be consistent throughout. I would have liked the Dash and the Houston Dynamo to be named the same thing, and both of them have the FC. Like if they're going for that, because I think this like now you just have the Dash, the Houston Dash, and then the Houston Dynamo FC, and this whole marketing project. The idea behind it all was for them to be one team, and you've by creating two different logos. And I mean, I probably get that because they're two different organizations, the MLS and the NWSL, that maybe that's what they had to do there. But I think in terms of just like being able to picture that and say that these are one team, maybe behind the organization, yes, but at least what they're projecting out here is still that it's one and then the other one is the other. So
yeah, the other thing I'm glad the one thing that they kept saying, because they said it a million freaking times, that they listened to the fans on, is they kept the orange. There was always fears that we were going to get away from the orange, although the black's more dominant, is the background here. But I'm glad they kept the orange. I'm not a fan of the little symbols here. They said the lightning bolts because we're the energy capital of the world. The little star here is because of Space City. Once again, differences, like you said, if you're trying to create some uniformity, I don't like that. My big thing for me, and this is where they can still make it or break it, and I'm curious, we'll see what y'all's reactions are. I want to see these things on uniforms. I want to see what they're going to do. Are they, if the Dynamo come out and give me a plain black uniform and slap this on there, that's going to annoy the hell out of me.
Well, that's unfortunate because the Dash actually already have a pre-sale on their uniform, and people are actually getting on them because it's literally just black, and then you have the logo in there and the Nike. That's it. But
well, yeah. I don't. I mean, I don't know. I just feel there's so many other opportunities to go with it, and especially we'll see what the Dynamo do. I'm sure I'm fine with one of their uniforms an alternate way being black, but like there's no other team that has the orange, and like that's what made us unique for years. I would love to go back to being something more simplistic, but I know they're not going to do that. It's very clear from this design that they're going to want to be edgy. They're going to want to be more hip. They're following what the trends are, and you saw what Austin FC did today. Hipster Austin with their big, green and black stripes all over the place, looking like the Rayados of the MLS now.
Yeah.
Anyways, any last minute thoughts on this? I mean, like I said, I'm going to reserve final judgment until I see it on a uniform.
Okay.
The only way I'd buy a jersey is if they come out with a white jersey and it fades orange at the bottom. So white fading into orange at the bottom. That's the only way I'd buy a jersey. But if it's black, orange, I mean all orange. I have an all orange and I have a black long sleeve, but I don't know. I'm just tired of seeing the same color jerseys. Give me a white. I know for a fact they're not going to go back to the baby blue. If they do,
No.
it's rare. But if they can get a white jersey that fades into orange at the bottom and then the new logo, yeah, I would get that. They need to get another sponsor too. That stupid ass gas station. No, I don't like that.
76.
Well, 76 is not their jersey sponsor. That's
their main was the cancer, right? The MD Anderson.
The MD Anderson is their sponsor. 76 is like their training gear and all that.
I'm sorry, we couldn't be hip like Austin and get Yeti to be our sponsors. Freaking Yeti.
He's got an Arctic shit.
Yeah, a rival. Get an Arctic. They are based in Houston, so. Yeah. All right, well, let's shift gears, not completely, but we're still in the MLS. But the part of the MLS that the Dynamo are not a part of, and that's the playoffs, as we heard. They have not been in the playoffs the last 6 or 7 years, but there are playoffs going on. I just want to explain for everyone back at home. We're going to pull up the bracket here in a second, but essentially, what's happening this year and what they decided on was a very simple, straightforward bracket with top eight from each conference. Problem is the East has more teams than the West right now. Has 14 compared to 12. So the West, it was straight up the top 8, which the Dynamo couldn't even get that out of 12. And the East, we have a little play-in game, a little play-in round, if you will, before the East can round out their 8. So they have the top 10, and those spots, 7, 8, 9, 10, are going to play for those last 2 spots. So let me pull up our bracket and we'll go through it. I want to get y'all's thoughts. We're going to take this pretty straightforward game by game here. 1 second. So let me take that off. All right. So I'll come back up to the bracket, but the big one that we have in this little playing round that I was talking about is the East. Very interesting matchups. This is kicking off on Friday. We have 2 matchups. We have number 8, New England, against number 9, Montreal, playing for a spot. And then we have the two brand new teams, number 7, Nashville, playing against, I can't believe they snuck in here, number 10, Miami. The lowest seed out of this group of 4 to advance will find themselves playing Philadelphia, the number 1 seed in the East, and the highest of the seeds advancing will play number 2, Toronto FC. Thoughts on who you think will advance out of these 2 matchups? Whoever wants to go first. Let's start with Nashville, Miami, the two new kids on the block.
Yeah, that one's going to be interesting. I did not expect any of these 2 teams to be here. Well, at least Miami I did because of all of the advertising and it being Beckham's team and all that. But honestly, I think Nashville's going to give them a fight. I would be surprised if Miami takes this victory. So I'm going Nashville.
Cool. Raul, what are your thoughts on that one?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like Beckham has some sort of like he basically calls a lot of the shots when it comes to Miami. And I mean, knowing Beckham, seeing the kind of talented player that he is, I'll take Miami on that one. I mean, and Miami's only going to get better.
Yeah. And on the flip side, when I have you on there, New England, Montreal, and by the way, I'm going to go with Nashville on that first one. I think they've been playing pretty strong, and had it just been top 8, they would have been in there already. New England, Montreal is kind of a more closer matchup. Neither team to me is super exciting, but I guess if I had to pick one, I'd go with Montreal just because I don't know. I have no reason on that one. I'm just going to pick Montreal. Y'all's thoughts?
I don't know. I'd go with Montreal. I mean, last time I seen them play, they were playing in the CONCACAF. So I mean, I'll go with Montreal. They're doing all right.
Oh well, I'm gonna take the contrary. I'm going with New England. I think that they've been playing much better soccer like these last couple of tournaments, and This is
Yep.
not like they've been going back and forth on the playoffs, so I'm going New England on this.
Also interesting, another reason I've kind of mentioned that I love Montreal and Nashville is because that would pit Montreal in the spot against
Toronto.
Toronto. No, excuse me.
Oh,
They would
sorry.
not.
Yeah.
I would need Miami to win. So I'm sorry. I was hoping for kind of an all Canadian matchup there,
Mm.
but that wouldn't happen. Or would it? Yes. Yeah. The lower. Excuse me. The lower seed. So Montreal would be against Philadelphia. Okay. Assuming how that goes, let's. I don't want to be so tedious with this, but I do want to look up the matchups. It's a straight bracket style, single elimination. You can see the dates here. It's going to be played fast and furious with games kicking off all this weekend and into next Tuesday, a lot on the 24th. The conference semis on later in the week, right after Thanksgiving, December 6th. There's a week break. You get the conference finals, then bam, the 12th final. Let's stay with the East. Since we don't know who they're playing, look at number 1 Philadelphia, number 2 Toronto. If you remember the standings, and I can pull those up, I'm not going to do it right now. Philadelphia was actually, just crushing it with the amount of points. How much do y'all believe in either one of these teams, Philadelphia and Toronto, in terms of their ability to run the table here?
I don't know. I mean, Toronto's one of those teams where I don't know. I can't remember. I think it was like 2014, 2015 or something like that when they were like 2014, somewhere like 2016, somewhere around there. They're on a run. They're doing pretty good, but I don't know. It's just one of those teams that kind of like died out for me.
Mm.
And Philadelphia, I mean, I don't know. I just playoffs is something that kills you. I mean, it turns around and it bites you because you think you're running it, but then you get to play in that game, and then you kind of get knocked off, and you're kind of surprised, like what happened.
Mm-hmm. Richard, I'm actually going to change it up here. Let's just keep going with these. I want to get your thoughts on this Columbus, number 3 Columbus against number 6 Red Bulls. Who do you like in that matchup and why?
I mean, Columbus. I mean, they've been playing some incredible soccer like ever since they were gonna die out. They haven't died out. In fact, they've come back on top and on top. And I think last year they snuck into the playoffs last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think now coming back in a better position to be at home and play against Red Bulls, I think they have the upper hand there. I mean, it's no secret Red Bulls are a team that's, it's expected of them to be in the playoffs as they're one of the oldest teams there too.
Yeah.
Just like Toronto and Philadelphia. I think the one surprising game, and I think we're going to hit that one next, is Orlando and NYCFC.
Yep.
I don't know what to tell you. Like Orlando, how did they make it there?
Well, remember Orlando had the advantage of having, I think they gained a lot of steam because of their performance and the surprising performance in the tournament this summer. I think that gave them some steam with points, and they actually were consistent outside of it. But it is surprising that they stayed as high as 4th overall in my mind. I know Raul, you've actually seen NYCFC play because they played your Tigres in CONCACAF. Am I right? And you went up there. Do you think what you got? This is an interesting matchup, right? You got Orlando, who's kind of a surprise here of the whole season, really, and then New York FC, who's been pretty consistent, but they've never been able to really break through deep into the playoffs. But I know you saw them play your Tigres in a 1-0 victory for Tigres before this whole pandemic went down.
Yeah, they actually have some really like they have talented players, and like their style of playing, it's not like trying to score and then parking the bus. For them, it's always attacking. So that should be very interesting. Last time I seen Orlando play was during that mini tournament, and I don't know, they just kind of looked dead. But I guess they kind of picked it up and kind of got it going. But I think that's probably one of like the more interesting games to watch. Those two, and I honestly believe Columbus. I want Columbus to win it all. I mean, MLS named the top signing of the MLS was Lucas Elarayan, and he came from Tigres, and he's just been killing it. So
Yeah.
I actually want Columbus to go all the way and win it. It'd be nice.
Yeah. Richard, your thoughts on that Orlando New York matchup?
Well, I mean, just like Raul said, like I think it is going to be a pretty interesting matchup, just with NYCFC's offensive being out there, and I think Orlando's midfield is what has helped them out this whole season. So it'd be interesting to see. I wouldn't be surprised if this match ends up going like past the 90-minute mark and until like overtime. So
definitely. I mean, we're playing sudden death on this stuff, so it's going to be interesting to see. The higher seed, by the way, is always going to be the host, as you see noted there. And all these games are going to be televised. Let's flip over, and I'll get it scrolling for us. The West. The West is set with its 8 interesting matchups here, how they all shook out. But kicking it off, we have number 1 seed Sporting KC, pretty comfortably stayed in first place towards the end of the season. Taking on number 8 San Jose. Any possibility of an upset here for the Quakes from San Jose to disrupt this whole thing? Anybody going to buy that, or is everybody buying Sporting KC?
I'll take Sporting KC. MLS doesn't work like Liga MX. It's a number 8. Really surprising.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was waiting to see if we could reference that. We mentioned the 4-5 matchup in the East being interesting. I'm wondering what y'all think about the 4-5 matchup in the West. We have Minnesota against Colorado. To me, Colorado's been somewhat of a surprise and somewhat controversial. If you remember, Colorado did not play as many games, and it was that whole goals per game thing because they got COVID. They got shut down for like a month of the regular season. So what do y'all think there? I mean, for me personally, I think Minnesota is in a pretty strong position. And quite frankly, I would like to see a Minnesota Sporting KC matchup because I think that would be more competitive in the conference semis. What is y'all's thoughts?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Colorado Rapids never really caught my attention. And I don't know. Ever since Minnesota got a team, it's just one of those teams that you keep your eye on because, I mean, they stayed consistently strong. I mean, they're always showing up. So, and Colorado is one of those teams where you hear about them, you don't hear about them, they disappear. I mean,
maybe if they just change their logo and become the Colorado Rapids FC, that could make all the difference.
Yeah.
They're missing the FC. Richard, any thoughts on the 4-5 matchup?
I mean, honestly, Colorado. I mean, I think Colorado was able to make it far into the playoffs last year because of their goalkeeper.
Yeah,
I'm blanking out on his name because he just retired that last season. But he was, I guess, a big player after Tim Howard and the goalkeeper there. But honestly, I think outside of that, Colorado doesn't show much prospect in terms of being able to compete against Minnesota, who I think I was surprised that Minnesota. I thought they depended a lot on Darwin Quintero, but since he left, like Minnesota has been doing much better without him. So, right. Yeah.
Well, let's go down to the corner of the bracket that I think is going to draw a lot of people's attention, at least viewers, and because of the talent involved in the fan bases, and that's down here in the second half of the West. We have number 3 Portland taking on number 6 FC Dallas, and to round it out, a juicy first-round matchup in terms of talent and rivalry already is number 2 Seattle against, surprisingly, slacking number 7 LAFC. I'm curious, out of y'all's matchup, who do y'all see emerging out of these 2 matchups to face each other in the next round? Whoever wants to take it.
No, this is tough.
I'll tell you right now, and I'm not saying because of the top seeds, I would love to see a Portland-Seattle rivalry matchup. I mean, and to prove a point out that like LAFC, like you are human, like LAFC, you aren't some like monster. And yes, it affected you not having Carlos Vela, who's hurt and who didn't play during the tournament and all this. So I'd love to see a Northwest Portland-Seattle slugfest in the next round. That's just me.
I don't know. I take Portland. Dallas is one of those teams where it's just like, you got lucky. And Seattle finally picked up. Like, this is the Seattle that I remember that used to be like, strong. This is the Seattle I'm used to. And LAFC, I don't know. Ever since they've shown up, they just think they're hot shit. They need to sit down.
I mean, you're right on that. Because I mean, like you said, Sean and Ro, like they are human. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being the match of the night compared to what we could see with Toronto and Nashville or any of the New England, Montreal, whoever wins in that match. Just because they could surprise. I think Carlos Vela is back, correct? So
Yeah, but he's shaky. He's back, and yes, it's just in time for the playoffs. But I don't know. I feel like I what Raul was saying, this Seattle team has been like just. I mean, I've watched some of their games recently. Them and Portland have been like talking about vintage. I mean, they've been the vintage in a good way, blowing
right.
people out. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like. I mean, that's what we want to see. But like I said, I think there's going to be some chaos here. Like I said,
Let's
we
not
saw
sleep
what
on
happened.
FC Dallas though.
Well, yeah, that, and also let's have a year without LA. We already saw Galaxy. They finished, they crashed and burned this year. The Galaxy did. Man, LAFC. I need a break from LA fans when it comes to playoffs of any sport. Like, just take a break. But yes, I would like FC Frisco, as I call them, not in Dallas. I would love FC Frisco to get absolutely annihilated by Portland. That's my goal, and I think it can happen. I think the Portland Timbers are a team to watch, and they looked good. And remember Portland, and in the tournament, can get the job done. So I like Portland and Seattle just because of their playoff pedigree, and they have players who have played in these type of matches that it's done, win or go home type mentality. They got more killer instinct guys in my mind. That's just me. LAFC, I agree with you. LAFC, it will not be a walk in the park for Seattle. It'll be a fight. But I personally feel Seattle can do it. Okay, let's wrap up MLS, and here's my last challenge to y'all. Pick them right now. Final. One team to emerge from the West, one from the East. And right now, tonight, on November 18th, you tell me who are going to do the media finals and who you say will take it all. Who wants to take the swing first? Give me your finals matchup and who's going to take it all.
Let's say Columbus and Seattle. Columbus wins.
Okay, I hear Raul saying Columbus, Seattle. Columbus wins. Richard.
All right. I guess in that case, I'm taking Portland and Philadelphia, and
Okay.
I think it's going to go to Portland.
Okay, so you got Portland, Philadelphia, Portland winning. I'm gonna go a combination of y'all. I'm going the 2-3 seeds, Portland, Columbus, Portland wins it. That's what I'm going with. Portland, Columbus, Portland wins. So interesting. We'll see. We'll have to play this back to see who's right. But it'll be in about 3 weeks. We will know on December the 12th. Okay, let me unshare for a second here as we shift gears. And guys, one thing I know we've been waiting on. It feels like it's been forever because we had all the drama of the final weeks. And then we had an international break. So it was talk about this has just been a bizarre year. We know it 2020, but I don't know about y'all. It drove me nuts. The fact that we had all that drama and the crazy finishes and the crazy final standings. And then it's like, take like 10 days, 2 weeks off. Okay, cool. Go play for your national teams. It was really annoying. All right. Before we get into the matchups, just to remind people a couple changes of rules. Remember, the league has done this before, but it's been a long time. I think I looked up the last time was 2008, 2009, somewhere around there, where they're actually going to have this extra round. We have 12 teams in there. The top four, as you see scrolling across the bottom. Number 1, León. Number 2, Pumas. Number 3, Club America. Number 4, Cruz Azul are already safe. They are on to the final 8. Who's going to play them? That's what this weekend's all about. Spots 5 through 12, as we'll get into each of those matchups, are going to play each other. No legs. It's a single game, winner take all, death match, and then they will reseed with the lowest seed advancing, playing number 1 León, and so on. You'll then see your traditional legs of home and away games. Away goals do count. I was looking at some of the rules, so that rule will apply. The away goal rule will play a factor up until the finals. Let me make sure I'm not leaving anything else. There was a couple other rule things that I want to make sure that we were clear on. Here's an interesting thing. Both finalists, not just the winner, both finalists will automatically earn CONCACAF 2022, so 22, CONCACAF champions berth. So it's not just the champion, it is both who make it to the finals out of this year will go to CONCACAF champions 2022. So there's a consolation prize this year if you end up second place. So interesting little twist there. I didn't know that until I was reading up on it before the show. Before we get into the matchups, and obviously one of us is very happy here because they're already safe, so I'm not going to start with you. But Raul, your thoughts on when you look at these four that got in that were safe, they're moving on to the actual first round. What's your initial impressions of these top four? Who do you see as the strongest of the four? Who do you see as the weakest link, potentially who could fall once they face another team and when they actually start playing? Strongest, weakest, overall impressions of your top four. Raul.
The strongest, I mean, they're in first place. Leon they look strong, but probably this week off probably did some damage to them because I mean they're used to playing every weekend. The weakest, Pumas. I don't know. I've never been sold on Pumas. I mean, it's just one of those teams where it's like it's iffy. Pumas and Cruz Azul. I honestly feel like Cruz Azul is getting some sort of help because they got screwed over this past season. But yeah, Pumas and Cruz Azul. It's I don't know. I'm not sold on Pumas mainly, but it's between those two. And I mean, America. I mean, they're doing good. They locked their spot, but I don't know. It's kind of iffy with them because I mean, sometimes they're doing good, sometimes it's bad. I mean, sometimes they have an amazing game, and then sometimes their defense just doesn't show up. So I mean, it's like, well, uh, I mean, at least they get to avoid like playing this weekend, but then still, that's like 2 weeks off. So it's like, well,
I'm definitely with you on the Leon. I think Leon's been very. I'm curious to see, like you said over the break, but Leon has been strong. They haven't lost a game in, I think we said, a long time.
Yeah.
We go back and play the record on that. I agree with you also on Pumas and Cruz Azul. For me, though, the one who's more real is, I think, Pumas. It's weird that I'm saying that. I have the least confidence in Cruz Azul, and here's why. In that final matchup, Pumas and Cruz Azul, Pumas when it counted, and it was a game that mattered. Pumas put their money where their mouth is and took it to them. Also, Cruz Azul finished barely. I mean, keep in mind, number 5, Rayados, has the same 29 points, but it was the goal differential that Cruz Azul snuck in there. And Rayados had beat Cruz Azul. So Cruz Azul looks like the weakest out of that group. What's going to be key for them is matchups, as it is for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with them being that 4 seed, they're going to be playing someone, that's pretty close to them. Because let's say Rayados advances, or number 6 Tigres advances, and they're going to be playing that 5 or 6 or potentially 7 seed, depending on the play in there. So they're going to play. We're talking either Rayados, Tigres, if Rayados loses and they win, or Chivas. I mean, I don't see. Cruz Azul hasn't told me enough that in a playoff situation they could take care of one of those teams. So Cruz Azul, I think, is going to be the first of those 4 to fall. I think Leon is going to. I think I have Leon going all the way to the finals. I know that's crazy to say a number 1 seed is going to go to the finals, but I am that sold on them. I think they're actually the real deal. I don't think they're going to get the first round curse. That's just me. Now, Richard, your boys from Club America are in. But how legit is this year's Club America team? Are they a legit 3rd seed, and will they avoid an initial round upset or an early round upset?
I don't think so. I think, like, when we were talking about Seattle and Portland, and as their pedigrees they have it in the playoffs. Like, I think Club America, Monterrey, Tigres are always up there as like the 3 teams. I can't think of a 4 because there hasn't been any other team other than those 3 that I just mentioned who have that pedigree and have earned that pedigree in this last decade, not just in like their entire history, but like in this past decade, these 3 teams have earned the pedigree to say that when it comes to the playoffs, they can pull it off. Mm-hmm. So I think America is always a different team when it comes to the playoffs. So I have no doubt that will be the case this time around. But what I do want to note is the team that snuck in there, which was Puebla. And I had mentioned to y'all that if
We'll get them in a second, but I want to focus on any other thoughts on these top 4 because we're about to go straight to Puebla. So hold on that thought. But any other thoughts on Cruz Azul, Pumas, or Leon?
I mean, if it goes to the same question, I think the weakest one in here is Cruz Azul. Unfortunately, I I want to root for the underdog in this case, but they have like if you look at the last 5 games, they've only won one, and they haven't tied any. They've lost all the other 4 games that they've played.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, let me come straight back to you. I'm just pulling up the matchups here. Here's the. This is going to be good this weekend. We got 4 winner take all death matches, if you will, and I'm going to take them out of order because I want to start with the high and lowest because they're actually it's going to be the last game you see. The last game of the weekend is Sunday night, and you alluded to this already, so I'm going to let you take it from here, Richard. But we have number 5 Monterrey, who barely almost got out. Guys, had they not gotten embarrassed by Chivas in that last game, they would have been in there. They would have been that number 3 or 4 seed. Anyways, they're in there at number 5 playing the 12th seed, a team that if it was in a normal year would not be anywhere near sniffing the playoffs. But I'm curious to hear and let you start off. Number 12, Puebla. Are we going to see an upset? And is Rayados going to go home sad? Am I going to go home sad Sunday night?
I don't think you're going to go home sad, but I think you're going to be watching the entire game just because Puebla is going to bring it to them. I think, like you said, this is the first time that this has happened. So I'm really excited to see the teams who wouldn't normally be in there by any means. So that means Pachuca, Necaxa, Toluca, and Puebla. In this case, Puebla made it in there. They earned their spot. They lowered Juarez. Mazatlan didn't get in there. So Puebla did what they needed to do. They won their game. They won both of their games, so they made it up there. And I'm really excited to see what they can do. They're going to bring it to Monterrey. I think it's going to be an nail-biter till the 90th minute.
I'll tell you as a Monterrey fan, it scares me because there's always that we talk about, even though Rayados isn't first place in this round, they are the top seed, and that whole top seed curse thing and all the superstition, and the fact that Puebla, I mean, those dark horse teams who normally don't get a chance, they haven't had a chance like this in a long time, can be dangerous, as you said, because they know they're going to bring it. With that being said, I think it'll be an interesting game, tough game, but I was not as confident with Rayados going into things early in the season. I think they're in a good enough form that I think it'll be a close game, but I do think they'll be able to advance late Sunday night. Raul, are you going to take the upset here, or do you think Rayados can actually take out 12th place Puebla?
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I called it like when they played that Copa MX final. I said if they won it, that following game they were going to lose because they were going to be dead tired. That's exactly what happened. I don't know how Chivas did it, but I mean, they got it done. I'm pretty sure Monterrey can win, but it's just one of those games, and it's just one game that it could kill them, it could not. But they should be able to roll in there and get it done. But I don't know. I mean, I've seen Monterrey do some stupid stuff in the past, and it's like, well.
I will say this, though. I think this version of Monterrey does good on rest. They're a team that they need their rest more so than some other teams, and I've seen them come off rest pretty strong after long periods of being off. They don't handle the stress that well back to. So I think they'll be fine this round. I'm curious to see, as you said, when they do face that stress like they did at the end of the season, going straight into the next round against a top tier team. Like I said, a Cruz Azul may get lucky because they're going to have a tired Rayados on their hands. I don't know, but I do think they can get through that. Raul, let's keep it with you because we're going to keep playing. So number 5, Monterrey was playing number 12, Puebla. You got your boys number 6, Tigres, taking on number 11, Toluca. Just like Richard felt about Puebla, I feel the same way about Toluca. I think this is going to be a pretty interesting matchup. Toluca, who's been in there before but has had some hard times lately. Likewise, I think Tigres can advance here and will advance, but I think Toluca is going to give them every bit of it, just like Puebla will Monterrey. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. Right now, Tigres has this last few minutes curse going on that always screws them over. But I don't know. I mean, when we played Toluca during the regular season, I mean, it was kind of close, but I feel like we needed our rest, and I feel like Tigres we were on a roll and then we fell, but I think Tigres is finally waking up, and I feel like they'll walk away with a win. I can see them taking that win.
Okay, so obviously you're going with your Tigres and Richard. You think we're going to see our first upset here, or can Tigres hold on like we're predicting with Monterrey?
Yeah, I think Tigres they'll do it, and they have to. I feel like if they don't, I think that's gonna kill everything else because that leaves that takes out the Tigres America game and leaves you with some unpredictable. Could be Super Clásico if Chivas win, Santos or America, and that changes the paradigm of how the rest of the playoffs will be played.
Huge point right there. I'm curious what you guys because Raul, I would think about that. If both Monterrey and Tigres advance the 5 and 6 seeds, that basically guarantees that you're going to have Cruz Azul, Monterrey, and America and Tigres in the next round matchup. That's going to be some crazy matchups, especially that Tigres America matchup would be crazy. I think in a quarterfinals round. I'll kick us off on this next one. Let's keep going backwards here. We have Chivas, who have finished the season at number 7, going against number 10, Necaxa. Now, I'll be the first one here just because I'll straight up say because I'm a hater. And I hate that they beat my team the last week. It did a game that didn't matter, but still, they're Chivas. Necaxa is going to advance. I'm calling it right now. Chivas is going home. There will be some mad Chivas fans. Saturday night, they're going to be drunk. They're going to be drunk because they're going to be mad. They're going to be crying, singing all those sad songs. They deserve every bit of it. So Chivas, get ready. You're going to suck as usual, and you're going to choke. Necaxa, you're back in the promised land. Let's go.
I don't know. I mean, I honestly...
Come on, man. I just gave some passion there. You can't just, come on, maybe. You got to give me some. Don't shoot me down, man. Come on. Tell me you believe in Necaxa.
It's because I feel like Chivas got lucky that last game. I don't know what happened in Monterrey, but they just got lucky.
Man, we were taking a break.
Oh, man.
I don't know. Necaxa's one of those teams that snuck in there. And, I mean, Necaxa, ever since they came back, ever since they disappeared for years, and ever since they came back, they always seem to come in and screw shit up, and it pisses me off.
Exactly. But it's not affecting us this time. Necaxa is going to be a home wrecker for Chivas this time. I'm telling you, they are experts at ruining brackets in the first round and then losing. Necaxa will get the one win, knock out Chivas, and then they're going to face they'll end up facing probably, well, it depends. It's either going to be probably Pumas or Leon and just get absolutely smashed in the quarterfinals. That's my thought.
Oh, man. I'm going to have to disagree with y'all. I mean, you think I'd hate on Chivas.
I was about to say, America fans about to back up Chivas here?
Well, I'm not going to back up Necaxa. That's the thing. Necaxa, they were able to get up there. I think they had the easiest schedule out of like all the other teams on who they were facing these last 5 weeks. So that's how they were able to get there. They beat Atlas, they beat Tijuana, they beat Querétaro, they beat Toluca, they beat Pachuca. So I think if it was Necaxa Pachuca, I think they'd be able to do it again. But I think the way I saw I know this is another section that we're going to get to, but Chivas, in terms of developing the future of Mexican soccer players, I think their club is pretty backed up too. Like, I think they have enough depth to be able to at least withhold Necaxa and then go on and lose to like a Pumas or so.
Well, if they don't, they're going to have some bigger issues. I'll tell you that much. Like I said, I hate to be them if they're fans when they lose and the fans are going crazy. Yeah, anyways, sure. You guys both probably got Chivas, and I know I'm hoping for a little upset here with Necaxa. The toss-up match of the week, at least on paper, is number 8 Santos and number 9 Pachuca. Once again, Pachuca, a team historic, but we have not seen up in the playoffs many times in recent years. They are kicking off these round of matches with Santos hosting Pachuca, 7 o'clock Saturday night. Can Pachuca finally break through and make some playoff magic, or will Santos hold on to that 8th seed? Whoever wants to take it.
Santos takes it. The 3 teams from the north advance, and then you already have your 3 teams from the south.
All right. Richard?
Yeah, Santos took it. I think if there was any light of hope of Mazatlan getting there, would have been to beat Santos. Santos said, "No, we destroyed y'all. 5 goals to 0, right?"
So no love for Pachuca here, huh?
Unfortunately, okay. And if I remember correctly, the last time that they were in the playoffs was when they had El Chucky. So that was quite a while ago.
Yeah, a little bit. So, anyways, I'm looking forward to this. You heard our picks. like I said, I think it's gonna be a fun weekend of soccer. It's gonna be interesting. I know for Raul and I, we're gonna have to wait until Sunday night, which is gonna be annoying, but we'll see how this plays out. Just so you guys know, with the schedule, I believe they go straight into things. It's like a few days off, and I think it's around Thanksgiving, right? I don't know if I forgot if you guys saw the schedule. I know, just like I did.
Starts Wednesday and Thursday.
Wednesday and Thursday.
Mhm.
Okay. So we'll see the matchup. That's when it'll go back to the traditional playoffs that you're used to for Mexican soccer with 8 teams, but a little fun to kick it off, kind of a wild card weekend, if you will. Okay, last but not least, let's talk a little bit just more about the region, about in general. I wanted to kind of touch base on CONCACAF champions real fast and kind of where we're staying with that, and then let's look at the U.S. and Mexico team. So real quick with CONCACAF champions, so they finally set a date. December 16th is going to be the big date that these games are going to take place. Remember, 3 out of the 4 got to play an initial leg already. And one of them, LAFC Cruz Azul, didn't get to start. Their quarterfinal will not be 2 legs. It'll be a single elimination. They can gripe all they want about how unfair it is, but we don't care. We're moving on. So let's recap where we're at and get y'all's thoughts. Atlanta and Club America are playing each other in a second leg. America was already up 3-0. Any reason? I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say that America is going to be able to hang on to that 3-0 aggregate. I mean, Atlanta has been the most disappointing story. I would argue Atlanta, because you didn't expect them to be. Think back to what everyone thought Atlanta was going to be at the start of MLS season. They're the most disappointing story in MLS soccer this year. Hands down.
I just realized they didn't make it to the playoffs.
No. They're like, no, I think they finished last, second to last. They're like the Dynamo of the East right now. I mean, absolute abysmal. So that's what Atlanta, yeah, you could say, oh, they're going to go all in because they, no, they're not. They're not doing good, and they're already down 3 goals. You're not going to make that up in one game against America, who's playing in the CONCACAF Champions. No way. Now, what I am excited about is the next game. That's Olympia versus Montreal. Olympia's already up 2-1 aggregate, so they got a goal lead. Olympia being the one non-MLS, non-Liga MX team that's in there. I always like having one of those in the Final Four, so I'm kind of pulling for Olympia. Y'all have any preferences on that? Do you think Olympia can hang on to the 2-1 and be the one non-big league team, or what do y'all think?
No, I take Montreal.
You think Montreal can overcome the 2-1 deficit?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they can.
Right. That's definitely going to depend on how they do on that MLS game.
In the playoffs.
Friday, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, definitely. And then lastly, and Raul, you were witness to this as the world was melting down in 2020. Tigres took a 1-0 aggregate over NYCFC. Any reason why Tigres? I mean, it's a lead, but it's only a goal lead. And it's also interesting, like I said, you're talking about teams now. This is taking place at a different time of year than it normally would. So these are teams that they're going to be right after their playoffs. You know, the final for Liga MX, the final MLS are both about a week or so before this, or a few days before this, I think. Actually, no, Liga MX is after this. So this is going on during that. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think that could play a factor depending on how far Tigres goes in the Liga MX playoffs. If it works in their schedule nice and neat, then I think they'll be able to handle NYC.
You know, this starts December 12th. The Liga MX ends at the first week of December.
Liga MX ends first week of December?
First week or so. I know it ends before the
Okay, so
they did that on purpose.
So both MLS and Liga MX will be done by the time these games take place. So with that in mind, any reason why we should doubt Tigres taking care of NYC and advancing?
Not really, because I mean, by the time we get to that point, I'm sure they're not just gonna get eliminated. They're still gonna be playing soccer. I mean, they're still gonna be in rhythm.
No.
And for some reason, Tigres loves playing in December. Tigres has won basically all their championships in December. So I'm thinking Tigres can knock them out. I'm pretty sure.
And last matchup, they never got to play. LAFC Cruz Azul, 2 teams also in their playoffs, different positions, different places. This one's a wild card because it's a single elimination, right? We have 0-0 clean slate here. Y'all's thoughts on who can take it between those two squads?
I mean, hands down, if LAFC doesn't take this, then I don't know what to say.
And once again, Cruz Azul, think about it. They have so much that's on the cusp of being great, right? You could win a Liga MX title. You can win a CONCACAF Champions title, go to the World Cup of Clubs, all in the matter of a month. But guess what? You're still Cruz Azul, and you still suck, so it's not happening. That's my thought.
I don't know. I think this is probably one of those because this is one of the games that everybody was interested in seeing when like all this was starting.
And then everything went down.
Yes, I mean I don't know. This is one of the games to watch, especially since it's one game. This is probably one of like the more interesting games to watch.
Also, what's also interesting about this whole thing, this has all been compressed. So once these games occur on the 16th, remember they're being played all in the United States, neutral sites. The semifinals, so once we get it down to 4, the final 4 will play 3 days later on the 19th of December. And then the winner of those 2 games will play the final 3 days after that on December 22nd. This will be done in literally from a week, from the 16th to the 22nd, less than a week. So it's going to be fast and furious, and it's going to be a test of endurance because I'm telling you right now, whoever those final 2 are on December 22nd, they are going to be dog tired. I don't care what team you pick out of here, especially if they go deep in their own league playoffs and then come into this and go deep here. It's going to be, I'm telling you, whoever wins this is going to earn it, and I'm excited. The only team that you have a Sean Celez 100% guarantee, write them off, Atlanta United, get the hell out of here. Don't put any money on them. You're gone. Like, just let America advance and take a day off. They're the only team that I will completely write off. If someone challenged me, the viewers, give me something, bet me something, not money, like make me do something embarrassing, something if Atlanta wins, because I'm so confident they're the biggest joke of 2020. And like, I don't know how a squad goes from being so dominant so quickly to being irrelevant. There wasn't major player changes. There wasn't. And they just fell apart. So, yeah, I don't know.
Wait, who was their coach?
That's going to be interesting. If America wins, they have to wait for Cruz Azul and LAFC. Whoever wins that, they play each other. I think it's going to be Cruz Azul and America. Yeah.
Yeah, Cruz Azul and America, we got to have a Clásico. I think that's what we all want there, and Tigres, well, you'll face mighty Montreal, I guess, or Olympia, but we'll see what happens there. Interesting, because that'll be a nice little dessert item, if you will, right before Christmas, after we see the 2 leagues. Someone could be very happy, because think about it. We have a potential here to see a dual league champion domestically, followed up quickly by a CONCACAF champion right after that. Tigres could be that team. Cruz Azul can be that team. All these are eligible. LAFC, Montreal. But guess what? Who's not eligible? Atlanta. Atlanta has no chance of winning domestic titles. So all the other teams, I'm sure Olympia probably won. Are they from Honduras, I think, Olympia? Yeah, I think they're in the Honduran league. So I'm sure they have a chance of winning their title. Even a better chance of winning a title than Atlanta United. So all hate intended this evening. Okay, last but not least, guys, let's talk about the state of our national teams. 2 very, very different stories that are developing here. We have a very long time. There's a lot of time before 2022. We still have, there's 2 full years with it happening in December. We will be getting into qualifiers. Other continents have already started that. We'll be getting into that not too far off from here. I think by this summer, if I'm not mistaken. But we had a round of friendlies. Let's start with the United States. A new look United States team under Berhalter and a young team. They played Wales to a 0-0 draw, and then came out the other night on Monday, I believe, and annihilated Costa Rica. Panama, Panama 6-2, including 2 guys getting braces in that game. Guys who I didn't even know. I'm like, who? Who these people are? I knew who Reina was because his father played for the U.S. team, but Gioacchini, Soto, I can't even say half these guys' names. That's how young they are. They had the guy who had one guy was under 18 who started. They said they intentionally played some of the younger guys to get some experience, but it's exciting. I think they said all but maybe a couple guys were non-MLS guys. This is the first time ever we've had a majority, all but 3, play in leagues other than MLS, which I think is a good thing for the U.S. national team because it's starting to show that these guys can compete. And what I also like about this is not about 2022. This is not about Qatar. This is about 2026 and being a host country. And I think a lot of these guys who are now 18 to 21, give it 6 years, these guys are going to be prime, mid to late 20s. There's a lot of potential here. But just like everything else with potential, that's all it is potential. So my thought, and I'm optimistic, being a U.S. soccer fan, haven't had much to be optimistic about with the national team. I like the new look. I like the new direction. I like that it's not the usual suspects from the MLS that they're giving guys who play overseas. Is this something that U.S. national fans, U.S. national team fans can get excited about in their opinion, or do you think it's simply too soon to tell? Your thoughts on the state of U.S. soccer?
It's too soon to tell.
And what do you think for you will be, this is the biggest guy I ask people, is what is going to be that pushes you over the edge? What is it you need to see this U.S. national team do? Is it go deep in the next World Cup? Is it qualify with ease? Is it just to qualify? Is it what is it you think you would need to see that would say, hey, I'm confident this team could make some noise and be a legit host country in 2026?
They need to qualify with ease because, you can win these games, but you need to go out and win the games that really matter. That basically, if you're up against the ropes, you need to win those games. You need to qualify because they didn't qualify the last World Cup. They need to come out swinging and saying like, hey, like now we got some fresh legs. Now we have talent, and we're here to play. Are they a team that's ready to win the World Cup? I don't think so. No, they're far away from that still. But now they see that they have the talent. I mean, you got young talent that's going to be around for a while. That's going to give you at least 4 or 5 World Cups. I mean, take advantage of it. Go out and play.
What I liked about it wasn't the usual guys, too. I like some other guys getting looks. It wasn't like, how long have we been saying, it's all Christian Pulisic. It's all Christian Pulisic. He didn't play in these 2 games. I love that because they still have him in the bag. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have so many cards still up their sleeves that they haven't played yet. That's what gets me motivated because I'm like, if this is basically half the first squad and some of the second playing like this, I think you're going to start hearing a lot more of these names. I mean, besides Reyna and Brooks out of this lineup, I didn't know most of these guys. I mean, really, I didn't. So, Richard, what was your thoughts on what we're seeing so far with U.S. soccer?
No, you're right. I feel like for me, it's really hard because you always have like these international breaks, or the only time you see your international pals is when you're like in those concentrated segments of friendlies or even the tournaments. You're only there for a short amount of time. So I think the way to measure this is whenever you play, you win. I think that's it. Like, you just got to have a winning team, no matter what their circumstances, no matter who you play, and especially if you're playing locally in the CONCACAF region. Like, you got to be having these 6-2s often with any team. Like, you can't be winning against Panama and then losing against like Nicaragua
or Trinidad
right? I mean,
I look at this. You hit the nail on the head. These are the teams you're supposed to run up the score on like this. If you're the USA, you need to be doing this against the Panamas, the Honduras, the El Salvadors, the Costa Ricas, hell, the Canadas at this point. What I like about the stats here, I mean, dominating. I'm looking at it right now. 61% possession, 86% pass accuracy, 15 shots, 8 of them on target, converting for 6 goals. 2 yellow cards, no reds, only offsides once, twice as many corners as Panama. That's dominance, and that's what you need to see from this. What I'm curious to see is, can they continue to do this against CONCACAF opponents? I think they do that. I think they'll be confident, like you said, consistency. And finally, this will be my segue here. I'm excited to see a U.S. team for the first time in a while play a Mexico national team, and I'm looking forward to when that friendly occurs or when that qualifier occurs, because I think for once there's a little bit more buzz around this. I think recently you've gone in, even the fans, the betting people, Mexico's always had the edge in recent times, obviously. And I'd say for a good amount of time. But I think for once, I'm curious to see we could get some damn good quality soccer is what I'm saying between these two giants of CONCACAF. And that's how they should be. These two teams, let's go into Mexico now. USA and Mexico should be clowning CONCACAF. And no one's doubting that. Remember, that's been the curse for Mexico for all these years, going back to the World Cups. Mexico will clown CONCACAF, but they can't. They choke against the big competition in Europe. And so USA needs to, step one is to get to where Mexico is. That is clowning CONCACAF. USA can't say that yet. They need to first do what Mexico does, clown CONCACAF. Then the next step, compete with the other world powers. Mexico has already completed step one. Mexico's been there for a long time. And the frustrating thing for Mexico national fans is they can't seem to get off that damn hump. They can't seem to take the next step. They had they played two Asian continent teams for their international friendly. An interesting match against South Korea to start it. As you remember, going back to the World Cup, every South Korean was loved by every Mexican for, beating Germany, and they were practically sainted and paraded through the streets. Now their opponents in the game, South Korea stuck it to them. It was an interesting matchup. You had 3 goals scored for Mexico. I put who the goal scorers were. You had Jimenez, who's been looking good, Acuna, and Salcedo with goals. They then played Mexico. It was pretty much 0-0 all game till the second half. Jimenez and this time Lozano were able to break through and get goals. So Jimenez with goals in both appearances. We know the story, guys. Mexico wins the easy games. Is there any reason for Mexico fans to have some more confidence as we lead up into 2022 that they can actually beat someone outside of CONCACAF?
Yeah, if they stop calling up all those old ass guys.
Let's be solution oriented here. What other type of players? And don't say young ass guys. Give me some actual names. Give me some other people or type of people you think that you'd like to see the national team give a look to.
For me, they need to expand, or they need to pick out their goalies better, because I feel like they're not doing a good job with that.
Although Ochoa saved their butt in this last Japan game. Good Lord, they were about to get scored on early, and he was able to skip. But yes, Saint Ochoa ain't gonna be around forever.
It's not that. I mean, I've just seen that he's good, and he saved them, but it's just the games that count. He just doesn't. Yeah. I don't know, for some reason he just goes cold, and they need to have a backup that's solid. I mean,
I think when it comes to
go ahead.
When it comes to players, like I agree with you, Raul. I think Ochoa, he's not going to be there for a while, like for long. So I guess like some players to throw out there are Rodolfo Cota. I mean, I know he's more on the older side compared to everybody younger than him, like Gudiño, even like I can't remember his name, but I think he plays also for Leon. But just like being able to like play these younger goalkeepers as well, because sure, like a goalkeeper can last longer than like a forward, in terms of their career. But you don't want to be depending on that. And I think something that Ochoa lacks, and something that he showed against that Japan game, is his one-on-one matches with like forwards. That's where he's not really good. That's where he chokes. Yeah, Japan could have easily scored like 2 or 3 goals before they even got to the scoreboard.
I do wonder about the future of Mexico on the defensive side, though. They're getting a little bit older. I mean, look at Gallardo and some others. I'm not worried about their offense. I mean, Jimenez has looked great in these 2 games. He was solid in both games, and they seem to be really good up at the forward position. I am wondering about that back line, and that's going to be tied into what happens with the goalie. It's like I said, and really. You hear the phrase in other sports, like in football, defense wins championships. When it comes down to it, you want to advance in a World Cup and go deep. You're going to have those games where you are not going to go through with the competition that's in this world and just smash through and outscore them. You ain't going to go Bayern Munich style in the Champions League and start scoring 7-8 goals on everybody. You're going to have some games you get a little lucky, and you're going to have to lean on your defense, right, to go deep in there. And so I'm just curious about Mexico's defense, and I'm curious what y'all think about the coaching so far. I still think that this squad is lacking the person. And I question about USA too. I like what Berhalter's doing for USA, but I still wonder if both these programs have the right guy at the helm. And I guess we won't know until we see some serious competition. But I'm wondering if you guys had any thoughts on potentially Mexico, potentially with their coaching situation.
I honestly don't. Who's the coach? Is it still that same old guy?
Tata Martino for Mexico.
I believe so.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I've just
Martino, Gerardo Martino.
When I was younger, I mean, I used to support Mexico like crazy, but then I just got tired of seeing like your Geos and all that stuff all the time. It's like, bro, these guys suck. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm starting to see changes, and I like the changes. I mean, you obviously see a lot of younger guys, and you see some chemistry. I'm not fully supporting them, but I'm starting to see changes, and I like it. Like, it's good changes. So I mean, when it comes to like later on next year, when we get into like those bigger games where they have to play some better teams, like better than like Guatemala and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we get to those games, that's where you want to pay attention. That's where that's where you're going to test these guys. Because I mean, yes, you did beat Germany, big whoop. You didn't get far. We just seen Germany lose 6-0. So I mean, it's really nothing to be excited about at this point. But I like the changes. I like what I'm seeing. It should be interesting seeing them go into 2022. And I'm not sold on the coach, but if he can get it done, then there's a little bit of faith. But I'm not sold on him.
They love bringing in Argentinians. I'll tell you that much. They love the Argentines.
Right. I mean, I think for the first time, when he first came in, there was a lot of media and a lot of like, oh, he's gonna bring that change. I think the media attention has gotten away from him himself to the players and his style of play. And I mean, I think when I look at the World Cup teams who've won, you don't really think about whoever was coaching them, and usually who coached them have been coaching them for a while, like Vicente del Bosque for Spain. Like in Germany, was it not Klopp?
Or unless it's the antics on the sideline, like a Miguel Herrera, then all of a sudden people pay attention to the antics.
Right, and you're not paying attention to the soccer. Like you're more about waiting to see what Miguel Herrera is gonna do next. Like right now, the focus is on the players. The focus is on that. I think, and I love that. I think maybe that's why it's resonating with a lot more people, is because like as we ask for like the soccer team and the soccer clubs, it's like we want to see it in the field, and now we're actually getting a chance to see the results in the field.
Definitely. Well, with that, Richard, before I close this out, any final thoughts or messages for the people before we close out our November show? Our second to last. We'll have one more show in 2020. Thank God, 2020 is almost over. Any thoughts before we close out our November episode?
Stay tuned for like the next few weeks until Christmas. I mean, you have a lot of soccer going on. MLS and Liga MX, those are the two leagues to watch before the year ends. Got some important games coming up. You're going to have some big matchups. And a lot of this stuff basically kind of determines tournaments for next year. So it should be interesting.
And we'll definitely be coming to you, I'm sure, individually, or some of us in pairs, or maybe all three of us. Guys, we'll definitely be doing playoff updates. I know we'll be following after this first round and get our matchups. So everyone, make sure you stay tuned. We'll do some. I know I'll go live a few times once we get going into these tournaments, which will be an exciting about 3 or 4 weeks coming up here to watch.
Yes, for sure, and definitely stay tuned for that. As well as joining on the conversation. I know, like, for those of you who are still watching, or for those who will be watching on playback, to just comment. Like, I know there was a lot of predictions today, so definitely let us know what your thoughts are, because we like to read those and hear those, and definitely their challenges on who any of these teams who are going to be winning these tournaments in the upcoming weeks.
Necaxa. That's all I'm going to say. So with that, once again, guys, episode 41 will come in December. Will be a more of a Euro-focused South America, the Libertadores, looking ahead to World Cup of Clubs, kind of that focus, flip side of soccer. And we'll definitely try and give some mini stuff to you, some content over these playoffs. It's going to be exciting to see who comes out on top in MLS, Liga MX, and CONCACAF champions. So that'll be fun to watch. And we're only a few episodes away. We'll start talking when we get to 2021 about wrapping up 4 years and moving on to 5. So it's fun as always. What else? Make sure you guys are following on the Facebook page and on Twitter and on YouTube at Texas Soccer Live. And again, before we close it out, happy birthday again to Mr. Raul here. Another year older, and he's still kicking it. So with that, guys, as always, I'm Sean Telez with Richard Romero, with Raul Villarreal for Texas Soccer Live, episode 40. We are out. Oh, whoops. Necaxa. Atlanta sucks.
The end is nigh. Nos vemos por la próxima vez por el mismo canal. Yo, okay. That's Don Ramon's favorite team right there.